myths
and legend
from all around the world.
in our travel to Greece.
Today, Odysseus and Circe.
Narrated by Simon.
After their encounter with Helios, Odysseus and his fellows navigated through wind and storm. With no rest, they faced the anger of the sea for weeks and weeks. After one of those terrible storms, the boat finally landed on a beach of an unknown island. The crew was totally exhausted, and the feeling of the earth under their feet was like a miracle. On this island, they could see a huge and deep forest, and, on the top of a hill, a big house. Odysseus decided to divide the crew into two groups. One would stay near the ship to look after the provision, while the other would go to explore the place and reach the house on the top of the hill. In order to avoid a riot, he decided to let the chance decide who would be assigned to what mission. Polytes was chosen, and with a little group of sailors, they left the camp for the forest. After a whole day walking, they arrived in the village on the top of the hill, which was, surprisingly, totally empty. They crossed it until they reached the house that they saw from the beach. What a wonderful house it was! Vast, full of sculpture and mural paintings. As they were getting closer and closer to an impressive door sculpted in white wood, they suddenly heard a growl behind them. They looked back and saw angry wolves showing their teeth, ready to attack. Together, they prepared themselves to fight, while the wolves unexpectedly tried nothing, sat on the ground, and stared at the strangers. Polytes finally found the bravery to push the huge door and invited his companion to follow him inside so that they could feel warm and in safety again. Inside the house, there were lions and tigers, pantheras and leopards, laying at the feet of a woman who was looking at them with amusement. Her long hair were falling on her hip. She had lips red as blood and shiny dark eyes looking at them. She was the most beautiful woman those poor men had ever seen. She introduced herself as Circe and left her throne to propose the fellows to sit at her table to drink what she described as the tastiest wine of all Greece. After 1 second of hesitation, the crew accepted the invitation and sat around the huge table made of marble in the center of the room. Once every cup was filled with wine, the sailors started to drink, and at this precise moment, the woman lifted a magic wand and declared a word in a tongue unknown by all. Men immediately felt something weird happening. As their hands became feet, their nose turned into snoot, their ears were transformed into pointy, and a curly tail grew on their back. As they transformed into pigs, the enchantress laughed, and laughed again with a demoniac rictus. Then she brought them to a paddock, fed them with bean and mushroom, and watched them fight for food. But what she didn't notice was Ariloch, who never entered the house and was observing the scene hidden behind a tree. When he saw his crew transform into pigs, he got afraid, ran down the hill and reached the beach, where he found Odysseus, and told him the whole story, beginning to sail as far as they could from this island and this enchantress. Odysseus refused to abandon his fellow and decided to go to deliver them. Of course, he was afraid, because he heard about Circe before. He knew this enchantress, daughter of the sun, descended from God and powerful enough to defy them. But, facing his fear, Odysseus started walking in the wood toward the village. Meanwhile, in Olympus, Athena was keeping an eye on our hero, knowing that he would certainly die while facing Circe without help. But Zeus, the god of gods, prohibited her to help him in one way or another. Then she called Hermes and asked him for his help. She knew she could convince him to help the traveler because Odysseus was almost as clever as Hermes was, and like Hermes, he was a wanderer and an explorer. The messenger accepted to help him, guessing that Zeus should never know about it. In the forest, as Odysseus was walking, he saw a young man walking toward him. He looked like a shepherd, and with a sweet voice, he warned him about Circe, claiming that she was too powerful for him. But, despite that, he gave him a bag full of herbs composed of black roots and white flowers, and advised Odysseus, "If you eat this, then you should be able to drink what Circe offers you. You'll have to attack her and take advantage of the situation to scare her, while pretending willing to murder her. Frightened, she will have no choice but to answer your wishes. Make sure that she promises under God's law not to kill you and to free your fellows." Odysseus listened closely to the explanations of the man without knowing if it was true or false. But, as he had nothing to lose anymore, he decided to follow this warning and took the purse full of herbs. When he arrived at the house, Circe was there, majestic. Odysseus agreed on sitting and accepted the wine. He hesitated 1 second, but drank it. At this precise moment, Circe took her wand and got ready to bewitch him, but suddenly she stopped. Odysseus was awake, lifting his sword, ready to slay. Never before a mortal being had resisted her magic. She could not believe it, and was totally amazed by the strength of Odysseus. And suddenly, she recognized him. The story and the songs about his achievements in the Trojan War had been told all around the world. She knew he would come. The god predicted it long time ago. She prostrated and promised never to hurt him, but to grant all of his desires, if only he could share one night with her. Odysseus agreed on 2 conditions: the return to human appearance for his friend, and the vow under the god's law that she will never hurt him. She accepted, and opened the fences and dropped magic powder on the pigs, which quickly became human again. Circe asked for forgiveness and told them that they could stay as long as they would like to, and that her maids would be at their service. After the long trip, the crew could finally rest and have a feast. Odysseus said they would stay for 1 night and 1 night only, though they celebrated for 1 year in the house of Circe, who finally let them live alive, as she promised.